This next video we're going to make the rubber band core. You can see here I've got in front of me 3 different cores, different sizes. This one's a 5-inch circumference, this is a 6-inch circumference, and this is 7-inch circumference, the one I usually make if you bought a baseball from me and you didn't request a shorter flight ball. This is the size you're going to have in the core. The reason I make these 2 smaller ones is that some fields have things out in the outfield, either a fence or some water or some thicket that you don't want the ball going into. So I make these just end up with more yarn here, less rubber. The ball won't go quite as far. Unless you specify that, I'll make it to this size core. So no matter which size you're going to pick, you got to start somewhere to make it the core. So what I've got here is I basically just put roughly 20 rubber bands on my finger here. Kind of draped them over my finger. It doesn't have to be 20 exactly. It could be 18, could be 17, whatever you got there. Take one more, and I'm going to put them down the center here, kind of make almost like a clothes hanger kind of thing. And what I want to do is tie this off at the top. So I'm going to hold that down, run this around the top, tie that knot, and what I get here is like 2 little rabbit ears kind of coming out the top from where I tied that. I'm going to use those here in a second to pull that just a little tighter to pull this all together. So now that I've got those 2 little rabbit ears there, I'm going to take this bunch of rubber bands, twist it, fold it up the best I can, take one of the sides of those rabbit ears and pull it apart and wrap it around here, turn it the other way, grab the other set of rabbit ears, or the other rabbit ear, pull it around this way. I've kind of got the start of the foundation of that core. So now I'm just going to grab a few more rubber bands, again kind of hold it into shape the best you can, wrap and twist a couple turns, not too tight yet, just want to hold it in place. Grab another one, come across this way, again just a couple turns, not too tight. You can see it's starting to take a little bit of a shape, but we want to keep working on it. And just keep wrapping rubber bands now until this little blob shape turns into, eventually will turn into a circle. It'll take a little work, take a little time. You gotta kind of eyeball it as you go, put the rubber bands kind of where they need to go to get it into shape. In some cases you got to pull a little tighter as you go here to pull the bumps down. But just keep wrapping, and now as we go through here we want to go as far as we can, wrap this 4 or 5 times, keep that rubber band tight. So that's 2 twists, that's 3 twists, and that's 4 twists. So I want to keep doing that so this thing is real tight, and eventually it'll start to take a little better shape as we go along here. I've seen some start out that look closer to a football or even an egg, that eventually over time, if we keep working it, keep putting the rubber bands in the right spot, it'll come into shape. Now the closer you start to a round shape, of course, the easier it's going to be as you go, and sometimes it'll take more rubber bands until it actually does take the shape. But the rubber band count of this ball is 165. That's a lot of rubber bands. So we've probably only gone through about 40 or 50. So I'm going to keep going here until we get a little bit better shape so you can see that. But you can kind of see the process. It's just keep wrapping, keep twisting, keep turning the rubber bands. As many as you can go. You don't want to go too loose. If you have it too loose, then the center core isn't going to be as solid, and the ball won't travel quite as far. You can see I kind of keep turning the ball a little bit. Let me start this over. Looking for where I need to build up some shape to add the low spots versus the high spots. And yes, you will break rubber bands, you will shoot rubber bands as you go through this. But again, just keep pulling as tight as you can without, you'll kind of get a feel for how far you can pull before the rubber band breaks. You kind of want to use that as a guide. And the rubber bands aren't all exactly the same quality as you go. Some rubber bands may stretch a little more, some may stretch very little. You just kind of get the feel for it as you start the first pull and build that thing up. I'm not going to take this all the way to the 7 inches because you kind of see the pattern I'm using as I go here. It's just going to be the same thing over and over. Just keep turning, keep twisting, keep pulling it tight, keep building that shape, finding the low spots till you get comfortable with the round shape you're looking for. If you get far enough along and you just can't get it to that round shape, don't worry about it, just start over. It's just rubber bands. And the rubber bands I'm using here, I mentioned in the first video, we buy online. You can get them at Staples, you can get them at Target if you're just going to build a few. But what you're looking for, these are number 32 rubber bands. The rubber bands come in numbers. I've used some thicker rubber bands on occasion if I got them laying around, but they don't twist and turn as nicely as the number 32s. I think 33s would work. They're not that much different. But we've always used the number 32, so look for those when you're buying rubber bands for this. If you have a bunch of rubber bands around the house, you're gonna need 165. You don't have to go buy them, but not many people have that many laying around the house. So just gonna do a couple more here. Oops, this one kind of came apart here. Start that one over. And again, I'm trying to get as many twists as I can as I go. As you get closer to the full size, the 7-inch size, you're only going to get 3 twists instead of 4 or 5 twists. But that's okay. That's all it's going to take once you get out to that size. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off here, and you can see I'm just about up to the smaller size here, pretty close. So from there I just keep going until I get to this size, and keep going until I get to this size. And again, this should come in, if you put this on a scale, let me just double check it quick. You won't be able to see the number, but I'll tell you what would come in here. So 2 3/4, so just under 3 ounces on this ball. You want to get as close to 3 as you can. Again, you have specifications set forth by the Beatles. They'll give you the exact ounces range, I should say, that you have. You want to be between 5 3/4 and 6 ounces. So as long as you're 2 3/4 here to 3 ounces, you're going to be fine. And so that's the making of the rubber band core.